trustees are present. Has this meeting been publicly noticed?
The meeting has been properly noticed and posted according to law.
All right, thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for your time, talent, and patience in advance as we conduct business this evening. We are trying to find the right page of the packet. We have one special order of business, which is an update on the 2022-2025 University Year Program. For that, I'm going to pass it to Assistant Village Manager Anderson, and I believe we have a speaker this evening. We had information regarding this item in our packet, including the applications for the 3 initiatives that we submitted, so hopefully everybody is up to date on those. And I will turn it over to Assistant Village Manager Anderson.
Thank you, President McCaig. I won't take the wind out of Gavin's sails, but as you saw in the packet, I did include the project description forms that helps to provide just a little bit more detail that built off of the proposal that I brought forward to the board last August. It was about this time last year that we were about to receive our acceptance into the program. So without further ado, I will kick it over to Gavin.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Can I be heard? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm at a conference center and you never know how that goes. So I just want to make sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gavin Luter. I'm Managing Director of the University Alliance at UW-Madison, essentially a network of people on campus at UW-Madison who want to make UW more accessible to local governments across the state. You all have a lot of important business in front of you, so I don't want to take too much of your time. Just wanted to give an update about where we have been in the process, where you are now, and where things are moving forward. Where you have been is that you applied for the program. Thank you. I'm really glad to have you as partners. And as Assistant Village Manager Anderson mentioned, you applied with 3 projects in mind. One was creating a historic preservation ordinance framework. One was on whether or not you should electrify the police fleet as an operations issue. And the other one is about how do we better communicate with the public. And if we can make it also an internal communications issue as well, that's part of the conversations that we had with you and your staff. So where you've been this far has been you filled out the project description forms. We were able to understand a little bit more about them through the scoping process. Out of that, we had those 3 project matches that were actually made. So we've made matches, one with a fall course coming up, a creative campaign messages course that Chris is going to be participating in around the communications issue. We have an individual student through the University Alliance Scholars Program helping create a historic preservation framework for you all. Fun fact, he's a student alder in the village of Waunakee. So he is a young, aspiring local government professional who's already in local government and is a student at UW-Madison. Thought you'd appreciate knowing about that. And then the third match that we made is already a project ongoing, a master's student in urban and regional planning who's looking at whether or not you should electrify your police fleet. So the process is that you have the projects come in, we match them, and they're kind of underway right now. So we anticipate that the electrification of the police fleet project will be done by the end of the fall. Communications project will be done by the end of the fall, as well as the final historic preservation ordinance framework will also be done by the fall. What we might anticipate is, depending on what those deliverables look like, we'll come to you and say, hey, does this kind of scratch the itch? Is this what you wanted? If not, then we can also look for additional matches or say like, oh, this like started just, this did answer the question, but you want to dive in a little bit more. We can entertain those kinds of requests moving forward. And then we're still in relationship with you all for another 1.5 years beyond that, to where we stick around and we help think about implementation frameworks. We don't want to be too pushy when it comes to implementing things. We know that you asked us to come in and do the work and look at feasibility. You all have to kind of help do the work of the implementation, but we're happy to help think through if there might be additional resources that UW-Madison might be able to bring to the table with implementation or even facilitating meetings, examining the reports for feasibility of recommendations. So that's what the next year and a half or so is going to look like. We just wanted to make sure that you were in the loop, up to speed on what was going on with that, because has been a lot of work that's been going on. But as I told Chris, we lay dormant for a while. It's not because we're not hard at work. It's because we're trying to find matches for your projects. And hooray, we found matches for all your projects. So that is what we are up to right now. I'm very excited. Trustee Erknick, I think. Really excited to be working with you all. And we will certainly keep you in the loop about as the projects come into completion. We'll communicate that through Assistant Village Manager Chris Anderson. And at this point, I mean, that's basically all I wanted to say. Are there any questions? I don't know if that's procedurally appropriate, but if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Well, I want to say thank you very much for that update. It's very exciting, and you've provided a lot of important information, including when we can expect deliverables and then what might happen then. And that takes us through the fall. I guess if there are questions, we don't have a lot of time allocated for this, and we don't have any action to take based on it. So if there are questions, I would consider them at this time. Otherwise, they can be submitted through Assistant Village Manager Anderson and proceeded that way. So
thank you. The last thing that I will mention is that there may be some opportunities for those who are interested to come and listen to final presentations for these projects. I know in particular with the communications one, we will have like a final presentation sometimes in December, but with the other two projects, we'd have to set up separate times. So we'll work again through Assistant Village Manager Anderson to see what the appropriate times are, and those who are interested can come and put it on their calendars. So yeah, if you are interested in coming and learning about the final deliverables, you can be included in that, but I'll work through our staff contact for that. Thank you very much for your time.
Any questions from the trustees that should be addressed now? All right, thank you very much. And I believe you guys will be at the League of Wisconsin Municipalities coming up.
Heck, yes, we will be.
We'll
So
see.
please come and say hi. Also, if you're going to be at the American Planning Association meeting, the Wisconsin chapter on Thursday, I'll also be there in Milwaukee, nonetheless, not too far from Sherwood. So anyway, yes, come look us up.
All right, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right. And that concludes special order of business. We now have the consent agenda before us. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve.
So moved. Second.
All right, motion by trustee Kudo, seconded by trustee Ursink. Any discussion? No discussion?
No, trustee Stokebrand has his hand up.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Trustee Stokebrand.
I wanted to pull item 5B as in Betty.
All right, 5B. Anything else? All right, seeing none. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda with the exception of 5B, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries 7-0. Moving on to item 6, items removed from the consent agenda. Item 5B, trustee Stokebrand.
On the committee of the whole, I sent an email to Toya with an address for Judith Wynn in keeping with our policy of names and addresses. And then in the regular meeting agenda, item 6A, trustees Stokebrand and Kudo opposed. I think we want to insert the word opposed, making that item a 4-1 vote. Thank you.
Thank you. So would you like to make a motion to approve those minutes with those corrections?
I move to approve the September 5 minutes with the corrections.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by trustee Stokbrand, seconded by trustee Kudo. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Public hearings, we have none this evening. Item 8, citizens to be heard. This item is for matters not on the agenda. I see a gentleman, Ryan Fox. You can say your name and address, please. And we usually have a 2 to 3 minute guideline for public comment.
Okay. Hello, board. My name is Ryan Fox. I live at 4045 North Prospect. I'm a software developer. I wanted to share a project I've been working on. I work a lot with image and video processing. So I've built a search engine. Currently, I have a demo up and running. If anyone cares to look at it, I can share the URL. I have it indexing the YouTube channel for the Shorewood board meetings. It does full text search of the audio and video. Just wanted to let you know that it's out there, and I'm happy to take any questions on it if there's any, or share the URL if you want to see a live demo.
Okay. Well, this, thank you, Mr. Fox. It's a pleasure to meet you virtually. This is Citizens to be Heard is for public comment, so it's kind of one-way discussion because we're not agended for discussion or a longer conversation. So I would say that sharing the URL would be a great start by contact via email to the village manager, who can forward it to us. And then if there is a point of discussion in the future, we could certainly schedule that for a future meeting.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
And otherwise, the trustees are welcome to reach out and have further conversation on their own as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Jennifer Cooney-Vulpes, would you like to be heard?
Yes, please. So I guess this might be more like a suggestion for the suggestion box, but I use the Oak Leaf Trail very frequently. And lately there's been a lot of people that are on e-bikes and that sort of thing, and they fly along there at 20 miles an hour. And also when the racers are in town, they fly along the Oak Leaf Trail as well. So I was wondering if Shorewood has jurisdiction to add speed limits to the Oak Leaf Trail that is just within the city limits of Shorewood. And I really encourage you to think about that, since you're thinking about safety. Near my mother's house, a woman was killed on exactly the same sort of path because a bicyclist was going 20 miles an hour and hit her. So I just think this might be something to think about. Oh, and my name is Jennifer Cooney-Vulpes, and my address is 4331 North Alpine Avenue in Shorewood. Thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, any other members of the public who would like to be heard? All right, seeing none, we will move on to item 9, which is new business. 9A, consider strategy of using computer inquiry to justify a traffic stop. This comes to us after a full discussion at Committee of the Whole on September 5th. Previously, it was at committee, I think once at least, if not twice. And at Committee of the Whole, it was recommended for approval at that time. So unless there is any further discussion or questions, I would entertain a motion at this time.
Sure. I move to support the continued use of computer inquiries as a traffic stop strategy.
Second.
Motion by trustee Arndorfer, seconded by trustee Ursink. Any discussion? Any members of the public who would wish to be heard? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And thank you, Captain Santiago, for being here this evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night. Item 9B, consider suspension of policy 32 through October to accommodate Village Hall renovations. This comes to us from the village manager as a result of a delay in receiving carpeting material to complete the construction project. As you will recall, we were anticipating the construction to be done by the end of September. Due to a delay in carpeting, that will not be able to be achieved. So in our packet this evening, there are several options. One, of course, to consider online meetings. And then there's one to meet in the village committee room. And then there are two other alternatives, Village Center and the library room. So I will open it up for discussion. Well, first asking Village Manager Ewald, is there anything you'd like to add?
Nope.
Okay.
Just happy to entertain questions.
Okay. I guess I would like to have a quick go around to see where folks are, the board is at with the different options in front of us. And then if we're ready to take action, we can go ahead and do that. And if there's not consensus, then we should have some discussion to try to get to one. So I will just start at the top of my screen. Trustee Stokebrand, do you have an opinion or a preference? You're muted.
I'm sorry, I would favor meeting in person. So I guess that would put us in the committee room.
Okay. Trustee Lynn.
I'm okay either way. My only concern with the committee room is it can get a little tight in there, depending on like how many presenters and things like that we have. But if that's our only option, that's okay. But I'm okay either way. I think, do we have, my only question was like, do we have any idea, could we maybe be virtual for the first meeting in October, but then by the second one we'd be potentially back, or is it a little bit hazy as to when this carpet will show up?
We will not be back in person in that room for the entirety of October.
Is it possible that could even extend even further with anything else unforeseen?
Well, what the suppliers communicated to date is that their goals to have the carpet delivered and installed on the 24th. It's just a supply chain. So
Sure.
that's, I've asked the contractor to call weekly to receive updates so that if there's something that needs to be modified, we can, but that's the best guidance that we're being given at this point in time.
Should we consider extending the policy even if we don't use it through November, or is that overkill?
No, you could. We say, in the memo, yes, we think that you should extend policy 32 through October because it may give other groups an availability to exercise that option as well. But with regards to the board, at the last meeting, Trustee Stokebrand had asked us to take a look at options and what that would mean. So we wanted to provide those options to you and allow the group to make any different determinations that you'd like. But in any scenario, we'd like to extend policy 32 to cover October so that any groups that would have ordinarily desired to use that room have the option to meet virtually.
Sure. Okay. With that in mind, and I'm definitely okay with extending through October for the consideration of other groups. And if we on this board decide something else, I'm okay with that too.
Thank you. So we're extending the suspension of policy 32, correct?
Correct, but then the board is also providing feedback in terms of how they would like to meet for the 3 meetings that we have scheduled.
Thank you. Trustee Ursink?
I'm fine with continuing to meet virtually. We have, set this thing up since COVID. We do pretty good at virtual now. We have a history of it. It allows more people from the public to join in if they'd like. And, and I think, with school starting up and, everybody kind of getting sick again, I feel like I'm quite all right just meeting virtually instead of the committee room, which is pretty tight. And if we want more people from the public, it could just get tighter and tighter. So I'm completely fine with extending the suspension and meeting virtually.
Thank you. Trustee Kudo?
I think I'm kind of like Jerry. It'd be great to see everyone and be in person. If we could do it in the village center, it'd be one thing. But the committee room is a bit tight. So, I'll go with the majority. I don't really have a hard and fast opinion on this one. But I'm getting the kind of cold that Arthur just mentioned. So, be glad we're not in that room right now.
Thanks. That's great. Trustee Arndorfer?
Yeah, I would agree with Trustee Ursink. I'm fine continuing as we are until we just get that carpet taken care of.
Trustee Baldoff?
I am also in favor of just meeting virtually until we're able to get back into the normal village boardroom. I agree. I like meeting in person. I think that's great, but I don't think that the other options that we have are the right ones. And I worry about the committee room just doesn't have enough room. And then the other 2 options I think are just, lacking in terms of accessibility for folks. So I'd say we should just stick with virtual until we can be back in our regular space. Would be my preference.
Okay, it sounds like we do have a majority or leaning towards continuing online meetings. Definitely with the rise of COVID and all the return to school viruses, it does seem like being in a tight room is probably not, doesn't afford us the benefit that we're looking for by being in person. At this time, would anybody be interested in making a motion?
I can
Sure.
make a motion. Go ahead, Arthur.
So I move to approve suspension of policy 32 through November to allow virtual meetings for the village board, CDA, plan commission, and police commission to accommodate village hall renovations and allow volunteer committees that are not required to be recorded to utilize the committee room, relocate to another location, or meet virtually during the time frame at the discretion of the chair and staff liaison, and noting the village board will meet virtually for the meetings in October.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Trustee Ursink, seconded by Trustee Baldoff. Discussion, Trustee Stokrian?
So the September 26th meeting of the Plan Commission and the CDA, that'll be virtual?
Yes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Nay?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries 6-1 to suspend policy and meet virtually. Thank you. That concludes new business. We move on to reports of village officials. 10A, village president. I have a couple. of things. The feast was outstanding. Thank you very much. I enjoyed volunteering again. I attended the Forever Affordable Housing from the community, the Milwaukee Community Development Alliance with Manager Ewald and Director Griepentrag. It was really interesting. They talked about land trusts and other types of strategies around land acquisition. I attended the ICC last week. We had a presentation by the County Office of Equity on what they have done in municipalities in partnership, and Shorewood was noted many times. So thank you for all that partnership. North Shore Fire Department met last week. We approved a 2.75 tax levy or increase that will be coming to us in a couple of weeks for consideration. And a reminder about the CDA Plan Commission meeting on the 26th. All are invited if they'd like to attend. The purpose is to bring them all up to speed on all the things that are related to the conversation around the Public Works facility future, so that if their roles are tapped, they have they know where to find the information and what information they might require. That's all. Village trustees. Trustee Ursink.
I just want to echo what you were kind of saying about the feast and say thank you to everybody that came out and volunteered for, within the community, and everybody that attended the dinner and attended the greater feast, the block party all day long. I just, it's just one of those things that makes Shorewood so special. Not only the community coming out to celebrate an event, but also, help and volunteer to run the event. And I think, I think I've heard nothing but positive things, and look forward to making the event bigger and better, or at least better, in years to come. So thank you for all your help and support. This year is really tough for me because I was in New York for the actual feast, so I wasn't in attendance. But when I was in New York, I was just like absolutely in awe of their infrastructure and DPW. I just found myself talking to garbage people about how they, how do you take care of the trash in a city like this? Or I'd be looking at little infrastructure projects like, how do you fix concrete here, or what they're doing for pedestrian and bike safety there is really incredible. So while I was outside of Shorewood for the feast, I was just captivated by their public works and their infrastructure within the city. So but again, thank you for everybody that helped support the event.
Thank you. Trustee Stokran.
Yeah, I was able to attend the employee appreciation lunch, and I wanted to thank staff for organizing it, and of course thank the staff for all that they do for the village. And it was especially gratifying to see John Malum there. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. It was great to see him there. It was not his first week on the job. I believe he came back in August, and so that was a great day.
Thanks for lifting that up. I enjoyed it as well. All right, other trustees. All right, village manager.
No report.
Thank you. Item 11, future items of consideration. Trustee Stokran?
Yeah, in reading about our options for meeting, I guess it made me wonder, what would it cost to get microphones so we could use the village center? I mean, I know that the candidate forum is always there, but that's a one microphone event, I believe. And so I realized that, in all the list of reasons why we couldn't meet places, lack of microphones was a significant issue. And I wonder, could staff please report what would it cost for the budget to get a dozen microphones? So if we wanted to meet at Village Center, we could meet. Another problem apparently is the acoustics. So what would acoustic tiles cost? I just would like to have an idea as an alternative, if we would like to meet in that space, what kind of cost outlay would we be looking at to make it more usable? And finally, the third piece of that is those folding doors. My understanding is they haven't been used for a long time. And if they're not usable, can we replace them with a newer model? So, because it sounds like I've heard complaints from residents that they're not able to get the village center room because it can't be divided because the doors won't move. You either have to be extremely like a Jerry Lynn size or Eric Kudo size, or you guys, it sounds like you really, not everybody can move those doors. And, you know, I'd like to know, what would it cost to get doors that move? If the community could really use that space better and we're not using it as we could, what would the cost be? So that's my motion.
It's a long motion.
Sorry. What would it cost to get a report from staff to find microphones, acoustic improvements, and functioning doors for the village center?
Okay,
And we're talking about like a couple meetings in October. That's like thousands of dollars and staff time to do all of that. I mean, that does not sound an appropriate use of anybody's time.
You know, Arthur, everybody gets to propose items for future consideration, and then staff determines when they'll be addressed. And so if you don't like my timing, I guess we can put it up for a vote.
So future items do go up for a vote. And so if you're making a motion on this item, we will need a second. Okay, and I'm not hearing a second. So what I would recommend is submitting that question via email, and we can figure out how to proceed. And if it's information that it could be information that we have on hand and could be shared in a village manager update. All right, any other future items? Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All right, motion by trustee Lynn, seconded by trustee Ursink to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned at 8:13. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.